Hi, and welcome to another Clarity Pro case study interview. I'm joined today by someone who I've known for years. She's a clarity coach. She works with all kinds of different people and particularly specializes in helping people get pregnant, helping people with the whole domain of what I said. We'll probably speak more about that. But she also works with people in all kinds of other walks of life as well. So we're going to be exploring that. I'm really pleased to be joined from Australia by Anne Bridges. So welcome, Anne.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And the place I like to start these is to ask if you could tell us a bit about your work and what first sparked your interest in the principles.
Well, I'd listened to, I think it was The Big Life, and he was interviewing you, and I bought your If the Secret's So Good, Where's My Ferrari, which I just loved the title of that. And I thought, oh, that's
Uh-huh.
perfect. And you mentioned Sid Banks in that. And so I got really curious and Googled and watched videos. And then I started the Glass Wing, probably around 2016,
Uh-huh.
maybe 15, 16, I'm not sure of the exact dates. And was like, oh my gosh. And I'd always felt that there was something simple, and that's what this really spoke to me, the simplicity of it. And yet with that simplicity, there's so much complexity as well. But it's, I don't know, it just shifted something for me inside. And then I did the clarity. Oh, I watched you do an intensive, and I had a moment in that just time stood still. Everything went into slow motion, and I was impacted deeply. I can't remember exactly what was said. Actually, no, it was the quote about Hafiz, that your
Uh,
separation from God and from love is the hardest work in this world.
yeah.
And that
That
hit
was
home.
that session that so it was the intensive unpack,
Yeah.
but I was doing a one-to-one with Andy, a lawyer, in front of a group of, coaches and therapists and people from around the world like yourself. And that just for whatever reason, it occurred to me to read that poem and that line, your separation from God, from love is the hardest work in this world. And yeah,
Mm.
Hafiz knew, of course, that we're never separate.
Indeed, indeed. And I think I'd been suffering under the illusion that I had been, and that's why I think it really hit home. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm doing the clarity coach training. Yeah, begged, borrowed, and stole to. No, it was a done deal.
Yeah.
And then after doing the clarity coach training, as part of that, something magical happened, because to qualify or to get your certification, had to get a certain amount of paid coaching. And up until that point, community nursing was my livelihood. And I was like, oh, who's going to pay me to do coaching? And then I got a phone call about a quarter of the way through the program, from a friend of mine who runs an international fertility company. And she said, oh, we need a senior emotional coach. Would you be up for it? Now, part of me was going, oh my God. But my mouth said yes. So that started that, yeah, delving deeply into that. And really, it was just a wonderful to use all the stuff that I'd learned on clarity coaching in real time. And yeah, it's just been a wonderful journey. I've been working with them for about 2.5 years now. And that's why after I did the clarity coaching, I was just like, wow, this is fantastic. I'm carrying on using the information. Then about a year later, I was like, I'm going to do the advanced. I think I'm ready. I've got the bandwidth now. I've practiced all that I got from you. I'm ready now to take the next step. And I haven't regretted it at all, because as a result of that, I got to do my first intensive, which just was so much fun.
When did you
And
do that, Anne?
well, that was just before the lockdown hit in Australia. I managed to
Uh-huh.
squeeze literally the weekend before everything got closed down. And yeah, I think it was a relief for her that I did, because it made her lockdown experience a very different place to be from where it could have been. And I got paid to just do something that was so much fun and deeply rewarding that, it was just, I had to pinch myself. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. So it's definitely, the journey has just been so much fun, better than I had imagined it could be.
Something I wanted to tease out. You said something which, and I hear this a lot. You said that you got a call and someone said, "Hey, we need a senior fertility emotional coach. Should be up for it." And you said on the inside you were like, "Ah," but your mouth said yes. To me, that's a great example of courage. Like often people will get offered the next step, and they're kind of scared, but it's like if you can just take the next step and just go with it, there's gold there. It's juicy. There's goodness. Like you're like how many hours of coaching do you think you've done as a result of saying yes to that?
Oh my gosh. Well, on average, I'll see 8 to 10 couples a day, and I do work in 2 days a week. So, and that's for 2.5 years I've been doing that, barring a few holidays. So you do the maths.
Probably 500 times 2 times 8. It's probably 8,000 couples, but you've seen some of them more than once, presumably.
Yes, definitely. So
That's
yeah,
a lot of hours if I've done the math right. But if I've done the math wrong, then it's 4,000. It's 4,000 or 8,000. But the thing I love about that, Anne, is that's given you the opportunity to just learn so much and have so much impact on people. What are the kind of ways that you're sharing the principles with folks in that context and in your intensives and that kind of stuff?
Well, it's really, getting people to see how they create their or how they create their experience, or how they experience life. The principle of thought taking form in the moment, which seems so obvious once somebody's pointed it out to you. I hadn't realized it until you pointed it out to me. So, and I feel so blessed to be able to share that with other people. I mean, just today, actually, I had a couple who, this is the second time I've spoken to them. So we kind of, after all the introductions, it was just, you could tell that this was new information for them. And it was like, the light bulb went off for people and for them. And that's going to have far-reaching impacts. It certainly has for me, and I know that will continue. And I had a lovely lady today who I've been working with for about a year now, and she thanked me. She said, she goes, I was really quite confrontational with you, wasn't I? And I said, I said, whatever. And I just felt so full of love for her. And I know that that's just the mask that, that she was wearing at that point in time. And now she's seeing a deeper picture and is just in a much better space. And for what, is coming for her on her fertility journey, it's perfect. And it was just so rewarding. I was like, oh my God, it's just, doing the job is wonderful enough. And when I get, people really, you can see the transformation for people. And that was my personal experience. So that's why I'm so keen to share it with others, because it saved me a world of pain. It really has.
Oh, well, and can you say a bit about your journey, kind of, because that sounds like quite a transformation, being saved a world of pain. And it seems to me you've both been seeing it for yourself, but also sharing it with others. What's that journey been like from having been impacted and like, oh, wow, this is something that's real and that's making a difference to me, and actually going to share that with other people?
Well, I've certainly got better at it, that's for sure, over those thousands of hours that I've done. For me personally, it's just taken stuff off of my mind, things that I didn't realize that you could do the hoovering and dusting without being angry. That was a revelation to me. I thought that, the usual bloody hell, why is it always me doing the clearing up, was just normal. And I hadn't really noticed it. And so that's been a joy in and of itself. My relation, I've been with my husband for 20 years now, and we've always had a great relationship, and it's just got so much better. Cool. Because stuff that used to really, I would get defensive about or upset or take things personally. I recognize what's going on. So, sure, every now and then I'll get caught up with stuff. I'm human, and not to the degree that I would have done, or, I was particularly good at sulking. That was my favorite thing to do. So I just don't go there anymore. It just doesn't seem worthwhile, and we can have discussions. And even if I had one particular time when I was really particularly heated, and I just said, look, at this point in time, if we carry on this conversation, I'm going to say things that I'm going to regret tomorrow. So let's just call it a day for now, and we'll talk about this tomorrow. And it was so sweet the next day when we had the conversation, as opposed to what would have happened was I would have been sulking for about, a day and a half and really grumpy about it. It was just over so much more smoothly and quickly, and we had a good laugh about it.
That's so cool to hear. And it's one of the things I hear a lot as well, is that as we see this in one area of life, it actually kind of generalizes into all kinds of different areas. Yeah. But one of the things I was curious about, you're one of the people who became a Clarity Pro founder member. What inspired you to, because you were already had a bunch of experience with this understanding. You were working with, we launched it a year ago, so you'd already been working, 8 sessions a day, 2 days a week with lots of people. You're already very experienced sharing this understanding. What motivated you to become a Clarity Pro member?
Because I know, Jamie, that you give so much, and I knew there would be so much quality information, beautifully put together. It was, and it was, I just couldn't resist.
I love creating things that are irresistible.
Well, you certainly did. You certainly did. I was keen as mustard, and it's been wonderful. There's so much great information in there, especially working with people. If there's an area that I think, I could brush up on that particular, I just need to look through Clarity Pro and there's something on it. And Bob's your uncle. It almost feels like I was thinking of that wonderful movie. Oh gosh, the one with Neo, The Matrix.
The Matrix.
Yeah, when you can just download, okay, this is what I need to know, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I've done that, and I'm away, ready to meet the client where they are.
That's really cool. Well, and that was part of the idea of designing it. It was that for people who are seeing clients with different things, that there's just something you can draw right away, so you can go into a session and know what to do and that sort of thing. Yeah. So I'd love to hear about some of the people you've helped and the kind of impact that you're having with people.
Well, with my nursing aspect, I've got a lovely patient who has been struggling with, I'm going in to do nursing aspects, so I'm doing wound care with her. But one of the problems is that she was what they call in nursing terms non-compliant. So she would take all the bandages off, and she was really depressed and had been struggling for many years. And so actually being able to give her the principles and share the principles with her has just been wonderful. And she's all the bandages get to stay on. She's definitely, it's still a journey, and she's definitely in a better place than she was before this understanding was and she can catch herself. And she said actually recently she hadn't had a thought of suicide for whereas that was a constant for her. And she only noticed that it had been missing because she had a thought, and she's like, oh my gosh, I haven't had that for ages.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it's wonderful. We've just built up such a great friendship as a result of being able to share this understanding with her, and really just gently point her in this direction.
Mm.
And it's made, because before this understanding, I would go to her and there would be kind of like, oh God, here I go, because it felt like I was pushing the proverbial uphill. And then with this understanding, it just meant that I had something that could really help her, and it did. And then I would look forward to going to see her, because I knew that she was looking forward to seeing me, and we'd have a totally different connection, rather than this kind of not adversarial, perhaps that's not, but it was difficult for her to really, open up and be with someone.
How does it feel to be having this kind of impact in people's lives?
I love it. It's wonderful. And although I've got a few patients that only want to see me now, so I've got.
Well,
And
yeah, that makes sense to me, right?
Yeah, because I'm in a different space. I'm feeling happy and uplifted, and that can only impact, the people that I get to see. And it's been great. It's been a wonderful opportunity for myself as well, because it's with less on my mind, I can enjoy the actual journey that I'm on, rather than getting to a destination. Or I think that was one of the things that I've just recently, with the last advanced coaching, I really got to see. A lot of the time I'd been in a rush to get somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I just enjoy where I am right now. I'm sure whatever's coming is going to be fabulous. So let's just enjoy the ride.
I love that. Well, and that may foreshadow what I'm going to ask you next. But because I was going to say, if you could go back in time to the you who had just kind of discovered the principles and wanted to share it with others, what would you say to her? What advice would you have for her? Or what message would you have for her?
Just trust that everything is unfolding perfectly.
Yeah.
That everything you need is already, is already in place. It's a done deal. There's nothing, and just to relax and enjoy the ride, just have fun with it, and know that, everything is working out perfectly, and everything you need. I mean, that's what's been wonderful, because it's been almost miraculous, the journey that I've been on.
Yeah.
Things that I've needed have just shown up in the right space and time. And, even when it looks like a challenge, it turns out, well, that was perfect. So, just enjoy the perfection of it all, and have as much fun as possible.
Yeah, that sounds like excellent advice. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for all that you've shown me, Jamie. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you.